Can't wait to see what's in those boxes. What's in the box? What's in the box? We're live. We're going. I see it on the screen.
Yeah, we sound good. We sound good.
We're going to do a quick level check. Joe, headphones
Yep.
are off.
We're good.
Good. Beautiful.
Looking good.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to our sixth, almost 6 months of doing this.
The Ocho. I say this every time. It's never
the Ocho. In 2 times, it'll be the Ocho.
Yes.
The next, not the next one, but the one
Do
after
some more
will be
times.
the
It'll be the Ocho.
And then he'll say the wrong thing.
Yeah, it'll be the
Probably
Nueva.
then. It'll make a lot of sense. But welcome to our 6th happy hour hang. Today's kind of a special one. If you've been in the shop before, you know that we're a massive tailor dealer, and we do some tailor road shows throughout the years. Obviously, the last year and a half has been a little bit weird with that stuff. So this is going to be sort of a hybrid happy hour hang, also kind of a tailor road show, as we're welcoming Mike Venezia, our tailor rep. We'll introduce him here in a few minutes.
Sit right here.
He's going to sit right there in this beautiful vacant spot here. My name's Anthony Pecora, Director of Sales here at Empire Music, store manager, hardest working man in show business.
Store manager?
Mr. Joe Vita. Oh, store manager, store owner. Hey, Todd, we just shouted you out incorrectly. Todd's hard at work at doing some of the listings that we're going to talk about here in a minute with our Summer NAMM special. And we'll get into kind of what that all entails here in a few minutes. But yeah, so, and also over the past, 3 weeks ago, we got the 10,000 viewer, 10,000 subscriber milestone on YouTube. We want to thank everybody for that. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do so. Stay up to date with all of our content. I think we're at like 10,200
Yeah, it's
now,
right
something
that,
like that. So we got another
there.
like 200 subscribers in that time. Thank you so much for the support over the course of now 3 or 4 years. We've been really hitting that YouTube channel stuff, and we appreciate all the outreach that we get and all the interaction we've had with all customers, old and new, including Carl Kelly.
Yep.
Always the first one to comment.
Hot in the
He's
saddle.
always in there. Look, in a new location. Yes, Carl, we're in front of our, considering this is a very Taylor-centric, shut the door.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it. Can't do it.
Gyms,
Get it, Joe.
Gyms have been closed for COVID.
Yeah, Carl, we're in front of the Taylor room because this is a Taylor-centric happy hour hang here on this Friday. So thanks for that. But yeah, he's happy. So yeah, and we got some questions we're going to get to from the online. We put an email out earlier in the week. We have a bunch of questions that we're going to get to eventually. We'll have Mike and Joe, myself, show you some of the guitars, and we'll get through some of your questions here. Real quick, before we get into that, though, Joe, what's been happening in the shop here? What's the new stuff? What is the new stuff? Not Taylor. We'll get to the Taylor.
Obviously, the NAMM guitars, big new stuff. The Squire Paranormals. These are in terms of electric guitars, to make a cool electric guitar for $430 is pretty hard to do. I mean, most of them are pretty pedestrian that you see. The Paranormal series is awesome. They give you a bunch of cool offset body shapes, mashups, things like the Tornado. They get re-released. Squire has done a phenomenal job of upping their game. When we became a Fender dealer in like 2015, 2016, like Squires were jokes. I mean, they were just low-end cheap guitars, which is fine. But the first dealer meeting I went to, they said that they were going to really put a big focus on making better Squire, and now they've done it in spades. I mean, it's like the Paranormal series. The baritones just hit. Now we've had some pre-orders, so thank you to the people that pre-ordered. We got those guitars out.
Yeah, the baritones went like crazy last time.
Yeah.
So it's like a under $500 baritone guitar, which I think a lot of players. That's like a weird.
You're not going to spend $2,000.
If you're not a baritone player, so to get something at that price point is really cool. We sold so many of those so quickly. How many do we have?
I think we have. I think they have 2 finishes, and I think we have 80 of each coming. And but last year we sold 80 of them, and we could have sold another 200.
Mike's over there. It's just like it was chops. Like, you bought 100. How many did you buy?
It was just we were laughing at the outstanding orders because Fender. I'll tell you this: the next time we have a happy hour hang and like new products, Fender, we're like 4 or 5 days away from a massive launch from all new Fender product. They do a big new product introduction coming up, so keep your eyes and ears peeled. We'll be crushing with video, and really, I mean, we're getting ourselves we're working hard on photos. We're really behind right now,
Yeah.
and there's so much coming. So we're gonna shoot a lot of photos, which is exciting.
Also on the Squire note too, we did videos for pretty much all of that stuff.
I don't know if we got the baritone done.
No, that's not done.
That's the only
We'll
one
get
that's
that
not.
done,
So
well, maybe next week.
Yeah,
We'll see
hopefully.
what all the photos with that kind of lines up. But
So
we did like the Tornado, the Cyclone, the Thin Line Telly, all that stuff's done. And then that's all on our YouTube channel. So if you're watching that, well, if you're watching this, you're on our YouTube channel. It's the only place we broadcast it. Check those videos out. If I get a chance, I'll put some links up there.
Yeah, Anthony, you did the bass video too, the 54 bass.
Oh yeah,
the
the 54 J bass. So, and those were like things that were out before, but there's some new finishes.
Yeah, they're basically all just new colors. Fender had to stop taking orders last year and shut them off because they were just like in too much demand, if that makes any sense. It was just they just couldn't meet the demand.
I don't know what I just did with my leg there too, but it looked really weird on camera.
Sit there.
There.
Gibson, Murphy Labs. We got in Murphy. We have a couple more Murphy Labs that hit. Also, if you're looking for 335s, we got a killer. Custom shop VOS 1964 335. We're gonna in our free time. Todd will ideally do a video on that if it's still here in the next week. That guitar is incredible. We waited, I think, 13 or 14 months for that guitar. A really, really long time. So lots of cool stuff. New. We got a bunch of new Martin stuff too. That'll be up on the site. That just came in
today.
Some GPs, like some lower end stuff, which we don't carry like a lot of. You know what I mean? We always skew more Taylor, and we're going to talk about that through the Academy, like kind of in those under $1,000 price points. They did come out with the new 12 string that looks pretty cool. We haven't even unboxed it. And then we had the custom authentic 1937 Dreadnought that came in that someone bought. Literally, I took it out, sent pictures to them. They bought it. Check out those authentic guitars. They're incredible. Really, really great guitars. So
cool.
That's cool.
Also, we always like to update this when we can through these happy hour hangs. Our repair time, we're still operating about the 2-week clip for like setups or anything serious, pickup installs, not repair, anything crazy like that. It's about 2, maybe even more, maybe less, but 10 to 14, 15 days. If it's just a restring and you need something done like that, we can knock those out a little bit faster. But Aaron Hutzel, our tech, does great work, and he's always getting hit with a lot of that stuff. So if you're looking for some repair work done or any setups, we're up in about 2-week turnaround time right now. Also, lessons back in store. That was not here for a year. We were only doing some online stuff, which is still available. If you want to do online lessons, you can totally do that. If you want to do some in-store lessons, we're back up and running. New lesson rooms downstairs. There's like 3 new ones. A little muggy down there. We have a little bit of an air conditioning problem. Don't worry about that. Get that fixed for you. But give us a call at 412-343-5299 to book some lessons with some great instructors here on staff. If you want to learn anything from entry-level young kids to if you're an adult wants to get started playing, any age, any skill level, we can certainly accommodate you for that. Just give us a call at the shop or email one of us. It's just Anthony or Joe at empiremusic.com, and we'll take care of you guys. Also tomorrow, so it's Friday today, Saturday. So we're doing a Taylor event right now, which we're about to kind of kick off. And this is really kicking off the event that's going through the weekend. So tomorrow in store, if you're here local in the Pittsburgh area, stop in 10 to 5.
Yep.
Mike will still be here, who we'll introduce in a second. We'll be showing off in person all of these NAMM guitars, and we'll tell you all about that here in a sec. If you're not local, again, call the shop 412-343-5299 or email us.
Yeah, we can FaceTime or Zoom with you too if you're serious about something. You want to talk to Mike, like who you're going to meet here in a second. We can hook you up and get you a consultation one-on-one. So we can make that happen.
Yeah.
We'll be ready to hook you guys up tomorrow.
And we'll get into pricing and all that stuff here in a second. So without further ado, the man of the hour.
Our first
ever in-store
happy hour hang guest. Mike Venezia.
Mike Venezia. Cut his hair specifically for this event.
I did.
Look at that.
Here he is.
Your mic's on, right? You got your mic on?
He's hot.
I think so. That's really, it's up to Brent.
Let me put my Linkin Park headphones on.
Yeah.
Go ahead and talk it.
I'm singing Linkin Park.
Yes.
Okay, we're good to go. All right.
Hot mics.
So Mike is an integral part of what happens here at Empire Music. And Mike, just introduce yourself. Talk about what you do with Taylor guitars and kind of how you've come about here with Empire Music, please.
Well, first, my mother and father met. They loved each other very much. And then 48 years later, here I am talking to you on camera. My name is Mike Venezia. I am the district sales manager for the northeast part of the U.S. for Taylor Guitars. And amongst that territory is Pennsylvania, specifically Pittsburgh. and these guys here at Empire Music. And for the past 5 years or so,
Yeah.
we've partnered up because I've had a couple other territories in the meantime, but this has been great 5-year partnerships thus far with Joe and myself and everybody else here. But your history with Taylor goes back far further than the 5 years. All the way back to when your dad had a store.
Yeah, 1994.
Yeah. So it's definitely not a hardship to be doing business with Empire Music, with anybody here, because I mean, if you haven't been here, you should come here because the store is incredible. They go really deep with a wide amount of models with all the brands that they represent, and Taylor is no exception. So
yeah, we're Mike and I went to the Pirate game last night.
We did, and there were 7 people there.
For what it's worth, we went 2 years ago.
The Brewers outscored the amount of people that were there.
They were
pretty much.
There was literally nobody there the last time. But the Pirates got 1 hit the last game and no runs. Then 2 years later, we go. There were more people there last night, not very many, but the Pirates still did not get a run. So Mike Venezia,
but they got 3 hits.
They did get 3 hits. It was so Pirates. It was just so Pirates. So yeah.
But it didn't rain.
No, it was.
We thought it was going to rain.
Humid. I'm going to post right now a link where we just put the NAMM guitars live.
Here, I'll get it.
You got it? Okay,
yeah,
so we're going to post the link to the NAMM guitars so you can see them. And yes, whoever asked in there, an AD27 or a Taylor GT with no electronics, they're in there. What we do is we bought this NAMM booth for the second time. You get these guitars, which are barely touched because Summer NAMM, let's be honest, there was not a lot of attendance.
Not a lot of
if you saw what that looked like on any of the online websites.
It was like the Pirate game.
Yeah.
It was like the Pirate game. It was not a beacon of hope for attendance.
Well played.
But you'll get 15% off internet pricing, full factory warranty, full setups. The guitars are dialed. We hand inspected every one. There might be a pick, something you just find that you have to play the guitar for a few minutes yourself. But they're all super clean, so dialed in. But let's talk about this NAMM booth.
Yeah, how do we get it? Why do we get it?
Well, tell us from the Taylor perspective. First, like our relationship, and also kind of how you guys put the booth together, because I think people think that's interesting too.
Yeah. So when we're coming up, I mean, obviously for the U.S., for North America, there are 2 NAMMs. There's Winter NAMM, which happens in Anaheim in January, and then there's Summer NAMM that happens anytime between June or July, all depending on where it falls in Nashville. And because it represents the 2 biggest musical communities in the U.S., more or less. And Summer NAMM that's done in Nashville is noticeably smaller in general.
Yeah.
This year is not an exception. I mean, it's definitely smaller. This year was way smaller because we're all just coming out of hibernation, if you will. But either way, we have large booths at these trade shows. And we decorate the walls with our guitars because, hey, we're a guitar manufacturer and we want to show what's new and show our wares, show some of our most popular product, but also what is new for certain years. And also we sprinkle in some one-of-a-kind guitars as well that you can't find anywhere else. And all that happened at this year's Summer NAMM. Now, as far as picking out those guitars, again, finding the ones that fit, maybe reiterating what we introduced earlier in the year. Maybe you missed the memo and we just want to revisit it again. But the person who picks it puts together a really nice selection. And then there are stores such as Empire Music that can actually handle a load like that because they know how to distribute it, how to show it off well, because they are great partners of ours. And they know how to really put the brand in a wonderful light. And so it's something it's actually a token of esteem to have. It's not just like, can you afford it? Well, there's many stores that can afford it.
You want to trust a store that's going to be able to do the right work with that type of stuff.
Yeah.
This is the second time we did it. The first time went very well for us.
Yep. So this is round 2. Last year was supposed to be round 2, but COVID.
NAMM.
So we got to round 2 a little bit later than expected. But we're here now. The guitars are here. They showed up on time, which is great.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy for these guys to have it and to be able to show you, the customers, what it is that we were able to display at NAMM. The great thing about NAMM is that you get to kind of see, if you're able to go to one of the shows, you could see basically any vendor's, any manufacturer's catalog all at once.
Mm-hmm.
And that's essentially what you guys got from the NAMM booth this year.
Yeah, Taylor does a good job of representing because, what's weird is when you go to your local store, like we basically stock almost every SKU, not every SKU or every iteration, but a lot of times you won't be able to see maybe a builder's edition 12 string or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Your store doesn't stock that. So if you get to go to a NAMM show, it's cool because you get to experience those maybe like harder to find items. It's like if you go to a guitar shop, there should be a Taylor 314 and an 814 there, obviously, but maybe something else that's a little bit harder to find, they won't have, or customs. Because what's really cool about this haul is the custom work, and you see the opportunities. Like if you ever wanted to design a guitar through us, we can work with you to help you, either if it's make cosmetic changes to a stock model, there's some room to play there. If you want to pick tone woods that aren't typically available in the line, we can work with you there. And they give us a good opportunity to see, what they think is cool. And Taylor obviously gets a lot of feedback from users all over the world, so they know what people are asking for. So when they were designing these customs, it wasn't like these are just pulled out of the sky for no reason. It's just like maybe somebody thought, oh, it'd be really cool to have this cool burst on this guitar. Can we get that? And it wasn't an option. So now it's a custom, and maybe you can put it to something, whether obviously when you buy one here, you get a great deal because it's already completed. But if you ever want to design one, we could do that too.
And you and I went to the NAMM show, 3 or 4 years
Yeah.
ago. And then Todd and I went 2 years ago, the first year we bought the booth. And what's cool about the Taylor booth, I mean, if you've seen pictures of the NAMM show, I think a lot of people see the booth after booth after booth in like the rows. But the nice thing about the Taylor one is like it's upstairs, it's like second level, it's its own.
It's class. It is
yeah,
class.
but and you're looking out over the sea of people and
our subjects,
the lesser
that's right,
brands,
the minions out there.
Yeah, as we joke, we don't mean that. That's
all
all
the big, I mean, Fender does something
Yeah.
really nice. They have like kind of their own isolated thing, but I mean, Taylor's really probably the only one that's up on that second floor in the.
us and Fender. Us and generally
oh,
speaking, yeah. Us
No,
and
Yeah.
Fender had their meeting room up there, but
Yeah.
but their display was down on the
That's
floor.
right.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So like Taylor's up there, so it's not like yes, people play these guitars.
Mhm.
I mean, there's people playing them, but it's not just anyone can. A lot of people don't even realize that it's up there to some extent.
Yeah.
So I think just to speak to like, there's not a lot of wear and tear on these guitars
No.
At all.
They're really,
Yeah.
really clean, obviously. And then so once the show's over, now like a peek into the process too. Like the show's over on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
What
Saturday?
What happens to these guitars?
Well, normally the winter show ends on Sunday. You're correct.
Oh, right,
The
right.
summer show ends on
right.
Saturday, and Saturday, for those of you that have never been to a NAMM before, these shows are trade only. It's only people within the industry, people like Joe and Anthony that own a store and they belong to NAMM, and you get badges and you go. And of course, there are friends of friends of friends that wind up getting badges and they go,
Sure.
and they're like they're visitors, if you will. But generally speaking, it's trade show only. Nashville's a little bit different, where it's usually Thursday, Friday, ending on Saturday, but Saturday is a public day.
No.
Things being what they are, there was no Saturday this year.
It's a Thursday, Friday.
Okay.
So it's just Thursday and Friday, just a 2-day show,
Okay.
The more you
which actually means that these guitars are even cleaner
Yeah.
because there was no public day for those guitars to get banged around a bit.
Yeah.
So on Friday, it ends at 5:00, 5:01. All the cases come out
Yeah.
and load all the cases up, put them all back in the boxes, make sure that they have all the packing materials. We palletize them, we wrap them up in shrink wrap, and then a carting company comes and takes them and then brings them where they need to go, in which case, Empire Music.
Yeah.
So on these guitars, and Joe, you can speak this.
Yeah.
What are we doing? Pricing, warranty,
Yeah.
shipping, all the things that you normally get from us. I know this will answer, I think, Sparks and Guitars on there does the special financing apply to the show price.
Yes.
So we can kind of tackle some of these
So
topics right
so
now.
the guitars are treated as new guitars, right? So in terms of warranty and all that stuff, it's a new guitar.
Full
End
fast,
story.
so that's lifetime warranty with Taylor.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you're local in here, we give you the 1-year service plan, meaning
Yep.
that we do your setups, restrings, all that stuff for free for a calendar year. You're going to just end up paying for basically the strings over that amount of time.
Yeah.
That's here locally in the shop for the guys that are in the Pittsburgh area or come in.
And then so on the site where Anthony posted a link, if you go to the Acoustic Brands Taylor 2021 NAMM, you'll go in there. All those guitars are marked at the 15% off price. We can do 12 months, 0% financing through Synchrony. You can give us a shout. The guitars, I mean, I can tell you this, guitars in general, like 15% off is like the Black Friday once, that's the big discount, right, that you might get on Black Friday. With COVID and everything, the prices just aren't there because there's a lot of manufacturing promos that have changed. Do you know what I mean? Like, because everybody is, while demand is really high, it only helps everybody if we're fulfilling the demand, right? Like, it's just like a bunch of orders that aren't fulfilled isn't really doing anybody any favors. So the 15 off, the 1 year same as cash, if that spins your wheels, that's awesome. We always pro pack, we always hand inspect, do a full setup. It's not just a look over. We run the electronics, test them all out. guitar will be dialed. You can always just call my cell phone, 412-915-7118. Text me. We were laughing at last night at dinner. He's like, you got to get like a burner phone. I'm like, I like the authenticity of like, literally, it's just like, you know,
of not sleeping.
Yeah, my pregnant wife calls me, and then you call me. I will take her call first.
Also, if you guys didn't know, Joe is having a baby.
Yeah. Well, my wife is having a baby.
Yeah. So give a congrats
All
next time you talk to them, and all the comments. They're having
a little girl. Yeah, little girl, mid-November. And thanks to Mineo's, it looks like I am having a little baby down here the street. Our fine Italian pizza heroes down the street. So it's just like we're always available for you. Like if anything, we're available and we're going to be authentic. We're going to take care of you. We're never going to send you something that's whack. I can promise you that. Now, obviously, Paul Cranston. Hey, thanks, Paul.
Hi, Paul.
So, so we're stoked. We're going to take great care of you. Let's show some models because we have.
Yeah, for sure.
Anthony does an amazing job because we were talking today about, while Anthony grabs his first guitar, we were talking today about how to organize our photo process to help expedite it. And I said to Anthony, organizing isn't really my forte because like I'm definitely like, I like to work with the bomb around me. And then he organizes this little script for us here that we follow our talking points so we don't forget anything and the questions you guys ask. And it says here we have 8 minutes to show off guitars, so let's have at it.
And we can improvise a little bit. I don't think anyone's in too much of a rush. All right. Although we do want to eat after this.
Yeah.
So the first one, this is the one that I grabbed. You guys talk about it.
This is fire. And I didn't know you could even do this. This is badass.
So this one, all right, the 5 guitars we're going to show, or at least 4 of them, but 5 guitars were NAMM custom guitars. And we do, like I mentioned before, we do some special guitars just for NAMM. And so we show off the possibilities that you can make with a custom guitar. And there are 5 of them that Joe has now. And this is the first one. It's a custom 914 CE, essentially. So just like a regular 914 CE, we have spruce top, we have rosewood sides and back, we have ebony binding with an armrest, koa purfling as far as the inline, essentially, along with some abalone trim, which is absolutely gorgeous. But one of the cool things about this guitar, it has Godot tuners with the black buttons on it, the antique gold with the black buttons, which I think looks sharp. That to me is like super slick. And the inlay is super awesome too, because we did our island vine inlay, but did it in koa trim with power shell flowers on it. So it's a little bit different.
Try to extend that out if you can. So
if anybody can see that.
The inlay on the island vine, just to hold it still.
I'm trying to get it centered.
Listen, when you have one cameraman, one camera guy, one video guy, one audio guy.
Shout out to Brent Isaac, who is he's doing all the audio work, the camera switching, and managing the feed all at the same time.
Fantastic.
So he is the engine behind this all happening. So, but continue.
The awesome thing about this inlay is that the island vine, what's cool is it's a vine, right? But on the 3rd fret, 5th fret, 7th, 9th, and 12th frets, maybe 15th. There's individual flowers and it has shell inlay. And on the 12th fret, there's 2 of them. It is sexy. If you go to the site, follow the link, you can get the photos that Aaron did here for us, and you can get a close up on them. But it's beautiful, really cool. I mean, just a really cool guitar.
It really is. I mean, it's our classic 914 CE, but with some extra niceties on it. And I think we only made 25 of these for the world.
Yeah, nothing here will have more than 50 worldwide, I don't think. Exactly. So that's pretty cool. Let's do that back. Let's go to the next one. This is Howard Haynes asked about this, and this was, if you're in the Taylor forums, I know this was matriculating through the forums already.
Guitar so much.
So this guitar is what you want to be, what you want to have when you grow up, like for sure. It's a Grand Auditorium shaped custom that's done with Zerakote sides and back, and Zerakote is really, really cool. I'm trying to do this without getting a glare on it.
That looks good.
But yeah, I mean, it looks just Zerakote looks like this. You don't even care about how it sounds because it looks like this. In fact, you probably want to put the strings on the back, so that's why people can just look at it. It's matched up with a beautiful bear claw spruce top on this one. Now, if you don't know about bear claw, the thought process is, well, it's named bear claw, but because it looks like a bear took his claws and sort of pulled at the grain. But the thought is that since it has these ripples in the grain, it tends to be a bit stiffer. And if it's a stiffer top, it tends to be a bit louder and projects a bit better. So whether or not that's true, I don't know. But I think it looks really cool. And then we finished it off in an antique blonde burst, which I know you guys love that.
Yeah, it's
that
cool.
burst.
That's like
Yeah.
a 600 and 818s. The grand orchestras are available, and that's the only finish I've ever seen that burst on.
Yep,
Any guitars
exactly.
I've seen that on.
Yeah.
And then we rounded this off with an armrest as well.
What is that armrest material?
I believe it's Koa.
Koa for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Zero Cody's Central
Yep.
American.
Zero Cody Central American. Koa is from Hawaii.
Yeah.
And then it also has the mission inlays like you would find on a 618E or an 818E that are also Koa inlaid. So, but they're outlined in abalone.
Yeah.
So it's really,
pretty
really
swanky.
just a beautiful piece, but it sounds great. It looks great. And I think this, we maxed out at 30 on these.
Yeah. Killer.
So.
All right. Let's do the next guy here.
Cool opportunity to get like a rarer guitar too.
And also, for what it's worth, pricing wise, because Mike hears a lot of complaining from me, as he'll gladly attest after
What?
one or more
What?
vodka drinks that we could have together. But the pricing on these, I don't know if it was done ahead of time, but the pricing is very favorable on these. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like you get, and obviously the woods too are picked because they know these guitars are getting made for these limited. So you're getting the best looking for sure. Like, and this is a great
Exactly.
example of that too.
Yeah. This one's a custom GA as well. This is a sinker redwood with a figured walnut. So you can see the figured walnut on that one. Really nice, flamey figured
thing's
walnut.
tasty.
And walnut tends to be maybe a little bit, hangs out a little bit more in more the high end to high mid range as far as its timber, which is when you pair it up with sinker redwood, the sinker redwood, it acts sort of like sonic sandpaper.
Yeah.
It takes off a lot of the rough edges, a lot of the sharp edges. So this is a very well balanced guitar overall. Sounds great, looks great. Again, we have an armrest on here. This is again outlining Koa armrest, Koa binding. And then the inlay is something called, I believe it's called the square wave inlay. So that's actually an all wood inlay done with, I believe it's maple and Koa as well. So it's a really unique piece. And like Joe said, we were able to price these favorably, even for a custom guitar. A lot of that had to do with the fact that we were making several of these. And when we make many of something, we're able to bring down the overall cost per item. So this is a gorgeous, gorgeous piece. And it's rounded off with Godo tuners as well, the antique gold Godo tuners. I love these tuners. They're just so good.
They look good. They look.
They do.
They add to like the shape of the guitar very well.
And it's really weird to say, but they actually feel good.
Yeah.
They have a good feel on the fingers. Like it
Yeah.
feels substantial.
And how you when you turn them,
Yeah,
that gear ratio, like
Yep.
they feel super substantial.
Yep. Super high gear ratio, 21-to-1 gear ratio tuners.
What's that do for people that don't know?
So, all right. So you have the post that you put the string through, right? That needs to turn. For it to turn once fully, you need to turn the button 21 times. So the higher the gear ratio, the more you need to turn the button, but the finer tuning you can get. You can really get yourself dialed in. If it was 10-to-1, you might be in and out of tune by the time you go through half a turn.
Yeah, when you've
So-
ever you're trying to tune a guitar and you're turning, it doesn't do anything, and then the string lunges, right? And all of a sudden you hear the pitch change dramatically. They're a low, like that's a poor ratio. You know what I mean? The gaps are too big. Where those, it is like
And
literally like Rolex smooth.
It's funny that like I was talking to someone we were talking Fender the other day, like Fender and Squire and all that stuff. And I was like, well, I could just get a Squire or what I get a cheaper guitar. Like totally you can, but like there's a big difference in like the hardware and like it looks exactly the same.
Yeah.
I understand, but like
touch it.
small details like that. Obviously, this is to the extreme
Yeah.
with a high-end tuning machine, but like pay for what you get. And
Yep.
a lot of times, like your
100%.
tuning stability and accuracy of tuning really goes up when we talk about components like that.
Yeah, it's great that
People
you mentioned.
overlook that stuff all the time.
Yeah, well, like you said, you get what you pay for. This industry specifically, you
Yeah.
get what you pay for.
There's no smoke and mirrors. There
No.
really isn't smoke and mirrors.
Nope.
I'd say that's people. There's not hidden tricks to it. It's like $400 gets you $400.
Exactly.
And 4,000 gets you 4,000.
Yep. There is a law of diminishing returns.
Yeah.
Once you start getting 5, 6, 7,000,
Yeah.
like above that, it's like it's just cooler.
And there's value in $500 and $600 guitars.
Oh, yeah,
I would
totally.
never diminish
Absolutely.
that type of thing. It's
Yep.
just like there's a reason that they're priced that
Yep,
way. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Here's the last guy.
It's the second to last guy. I got one
I
behind
got
me
one
too.
sneaking behind
I
you.
got one behind me.
He
Yeah.
has 8.
Oh.
So
whatever.
this is a Grand Pacific, which is our second newest shape. We'll talk about the newest shape in a minute. But the Grand Pacific is basically a round shoulder dreadnought from Taylor Guitars. This particular one has an Adirondack spruce top with figured blackwood sides and back. Now, we don't see too much figured blackwood, especially not like this figured. Like this is
like flame maple.
It's like almost like mahogany or koa looking.
Yeah, exactly. And blackwood and koa are both acacia species of tree, so they resemble each other very much tonally. It's just that blackwood is a little bit more loud, I guess, if you want to call it that. Blackwood tends to be a very loud tone wood. It's one of the loudest tone woods we use. And then you pair that up with an Adirondack spruce top, which as far as spruce goes, Adirondack is really loud.
Yeah.
So put it in a dreadnought style body, you know, in our Grand Pacific shape, you're getting a very loud guitar. So if you're looking for something that's going to fill a room, or if you're just tired of the rest of the band, you know, your bass player, outdoing you,
Low blow.
then maybe this is the kind of pairing that you're looking for in a guitar. And again, we've on this one, we have the antique chrome Godot tuners. This one has tortoiseshell binding, tortoiseshell pickguard, and simple diamond inlays done in an ivoroid material. So it's a really classy guitar. This one is I think the lowest price of all the customs. But this one's I mean, it's still just a ton of value, great look, great sounding guitar.
I love the ball. I think that body shape's like
the Grand Pacific
they're no longer underrated. I think they sound amazing.
Yeah, they do.
They really sound good.
They really
took
do.
a
And they're
second
coming
to catch
their own.
on, and now I think that people are kind of understanding that's a good workhorse of a guitar right there.
And then the last custom, I'm gonna trip over myself here, but that'll make for great camera work. Is this one. Now this one is kind of like, I want to call it it's like a mix between like 3 or 4 different guitars that we make. It's like an 814, it's like a 414, it's like a 714. It's a little bit of everything going on in this guitar, but it is a custom grand auditorium done with a spruce top and East Indian rosewood sides and back, finished with maple binding. But this one has a couple of extra niceties to it. So it's got koa and abalone and ivoroid as the rosette, little bit extra nicety there. It has the rosewood pickguard. And we always, if you haven't seen, like we actually do rosewood pickguards, any wood pickguards we do on an angle, because that's the angle that your hand picks. So it kind of goes along with the grain as opposed to across it. This one also has the mission inlays done in mother of pearl, and they're outlined in ivoroid as well. So when you're actually looking at it up close, you actually see the ivoroid on edge. It's really, really cool. And again, Godot tuners, just a great straightforward workhorse of a guitar with some extra appointments that you wouldn't normally find on a 414 CE rosewood or an 814 CE, and it's an antique blonde burst.
Yeah, swanky.
So that's the 5 NAMM customs that we showed off at Summer NAMM this year, and Joe has all of them.
We've got them.
And I dare you to find another place that's going to have all of them all in one place, and the answer is no.
And then also there's 40 more guitars.
I think there was a total of about 60 guitars.
Something,
Yeah.
60 or
so
65.
about 55 more guitars. We have some here up on the wall,
including
but
this one.
I posted links twice in there, and I'll do it again after I'm done talking here, that you can jump right to the website and
keep those questions coming. We'll get to those at the very end. So you can see it through there. Yeah.
They're all back there. I did want to touch on this one though, because this is the Grand Theater shape.
Yeah.
And it's a K21E, and this is the unicorn right now. Trying to find like one of these guitars out in the wild is so difficult, and these guys have one because they got it with the NAMM booth. So the Grand Theater is our newest shape, and I did want to touch on that because it is our newest shape. We debuted it very late in 2020, and we made those guitars out of urban ash. And this year we introduced the Grand Theater shape. We did a GT 811E, which is a rosewood spruce version, and then the GT K21E, which is an all koa version. So top, sides, and back. And this one has a 3-piece back. So it's actually actually it's a 4-piece back. It's really, really cool. These guitars are so comfortable.
Yeah. So those who don't know about the Grand Theater,
Yeah.
Like shape-wise, where does that fall with the rest of the line? There's different bracing in that, correct?
Different everything on this guitar. So the shape is, if we did a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids thing on a grand orchestra, it's essentially the same outline as a grand orchestra, just shrunken down. The scale length is very different. And the scale length, for those that don't know, it's the distance between the nut and the saddle measured in inches. And that's on most of our guitars, it's 25.5. On our 12 fret guitars or grand concert guitars, it's 24 7/8. On Grand Theaters, it's 24 1/8. So it's really, really, really short this way, but all that does is make it super easy to play anywhere on the guitar. And the body being smaller makes it easy to play anywhere on the guitar. And it does have different bracing. So most of our guitars now have V-class bracing, which I'm sure everybody's heard of at this point, if you know anything about Taylor. This is called C-class bracing. And it's an asymmetrical bracing, not to go too deep into it, but it is an asymmetrical bracing pattern that allows for more bass to come out of a smaller instrument. So it's lightly braced in other areas.
It's really geared towards that body shape.
Only for this body shape.
Right.
Exactly. So it brings more full-bodied frequency out of the guitar that you wouldn't find in something this small, because it allows it to vibrate freer. So
cool.
Yes, the Grand Theaters are awesome. K21E, 811E, and these guys have both of those, plus the Urban Ash ones.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. So we're going to jump to a few online questions that we had before the event, and we'll try and get to as many as we can here. I know there's a lot.
We'll do rapid fire them at the end.
Yeah, we'll kind of work backwards on that stuff. So question from Jose, who has been one of our frequent question askers. Think of a better term than that.
Inquisitionists?
Inquisitionists, yeah, sure.
I know they're in here. I want to know, is it Jose or is it Joss? Is it like a soft?
I think he said
message in there. Let me know about this. I need to know further.
Yeah, remember, I thought it was Jose.
Yeah, you thought it was like they cut off the name. Yeah.
So this is kind of so types of tone wood. What's the difference between ebony from African? Is it Catalog?
Catalusia.
Central America, Macassar ebony, and then any rare species. What's the tonal difference, and is anything harder to work with?
All those hardwoods are hard to work with. That's why you don't see an ebony production guitar from Taylor Guitars, because the fallout is dramatic. Bending sides of hardwoods. You guys, I mean, we've been after. That's why when they did the E14 ebony with the Crelicam ebonies, and people, they're $3,000. They're total steals. The problem is they might have to make 3 guitars to get 1 or something like that because the sides fail. But I think you'd find, like with all these woods, Central American, the hardwoods, there's so much more that comes into just getting a piece of wood. You know what I mean? Like, where Taylor sources their wood and how they source their wood and how they cure their wood. I would love for you to talk super short about this, because here's the thing. A wood is just an ingredient. And if you don't treat it properly, it isn't as good as it could be. And then just because there's plenty of $400 and $500 guitars that have solid spruce tops. Why does Taylor make $3,000 and $4,000 guitars that have solid spruce top? Because they're not the same. So just saying you have a Sitka spruce top or you have rosewood back and sides, there's quality levels, and then there's going to be the way they cure the wood and how they take care of it, humidity, all that stuff.
Yep.
Hit me.
Yeah, essentially, if you can look at it from a cooking standpoint, like you were saying, like it's a recipe. So everybody sort of anybody who cooks has their favorite recipe, right? And they got their favorite recipe probably by trying a different recipe, but improving upon it or making it theirs, making it to their tastes. And I'm no different in the kitchen. I have my Sunday sauce. My name ends in a vowel. I mean, I got to have the Sunday sauce that I make, but I make it my way. I don't make it the same as my mother or my grandmother. So I took the basic recipe and I made my own taste to it. Every single guitar company did that, right? And every company has their thicknesses of wood that they use, the types of bracing, where they place it. It's all a guitar in the end, right? It's all sauce, but it's different types of flavoring, right? Mm-hmm. So every company does that. We are no different. And when it comes to things, when you're looking at tone woods like ebony, certain tone woods don't like to be cut razor thin. Yeah. It doesn't react very well when you try to bend them and things of that nature, because it's very hard wood. If you try to take a 2x4 and you try to bend it, eventually it's just going to break. It's not going to keep shape. That's not going to happen. So why? It's a very dense, very hard wood. But ebony, when it's dense and thick, makes for a great fingerboard. It makes for an incredible bridge because it's super stable and super hard wood. So with all that said, can you make an ebony guitar? Yes. Do different types of ebony do different things? Slightly, because trees where they grow will let you know the density of the wood and what the response is going to be, what its responsiveness is in tone. Just like, let's use rosewood as an example. There's rosewood in Florida, right? And there's rosewood in East India. Yeah. Well, we all use East Indian rosewood. We don't use Floridian rosewood because it's not the same. It's rosewood.
Tonally, you're not going to get
Tonally, you don't get the same thing. It might be a little spongier as a material. You might not be able to work with it quite as well. So there are differences between all those woods. Ebony less so, because Macassar is named after a port that would export it.
Mhm.
It's, it's a very hard wood. It tends to be stripy. It looks really cool. Whereas Cameroonian ebony tended to be more black, but it's very stripy too, because we use all the stripy stuff in our production, and we own the facility that processes it. So ebony is great for certain parts of guitars. It does make for a very nice sounding guitar, but working with the wood, getting back to that whole thing, it's very difficult to work with in that aspect.
Yeah.
And so if you're breaking 2 out of every 3 sides,
The costs go through the roof.
Yeah.
It ends
So
up,
to piggyback on that, because this will actually tie into a question that we had later on, but someone asked best Taylor model for versatility and having the Taylor sound.
A14C.
That's what I would
Yeah.
say too, right away. But now we talked about the way that Taylor does their Sunday sauce, so to speak, how they do a guitar versus another manufacturer. Insert any name here. What do you classify? And you could be a little bit not opinionated, but personal on this. What do you classify as the Taylor sound, and why does an 814? Obviously, tone wood wise, it makes a lot of sense. Jack of all trades kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But like, what do you define as the Taylor sound, and why an 814 is such a great guitar?
Let me preface this by saying that tone is subjective.
Obviously, we always say that. Yeah.
Tone is
that's an
subjective.
opinion.
That's depends on what fan of what guitar you're asking, I guess. But yeah, tone is subjective always. Certain people like different guitars more than others. Certain people like different tone woods more than others. But generally speaking, the Taylor sound, in a word, is articulate. It's articulate. You can hear. You play a chord and you can hear every note, and not in a bad way. It used to be that Taylors were considered bright, but that's no longer an adjective that really works, especially with the change over to
The
V
V-Class
bracing.
totally changed that. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
more defined and focused.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
That's where the articulation
Yeah,
comes from.
100%.
I say when you get to the Grand Pacific too, I'm like, it's not like an overly like bright guitar. At
No,
all.
it's not.
Very well rounded.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like our grand orchestras, like the 618E, that's maple sides and back. But you play that guitar, it has a bright top end, but the low end is
that's
incredible.
one of the most surprising
What's that?
guitars in 818.
No,
Oh,
618.
618.
618.
Sorry.
Maple gets dumped on. I've been doing a lot of Maple videos lately because nobody knows. They won't try it because it's Maple. But I'm telling you, that 618 will rip right through any mix. It'll fill a room. It's gnarly.
When Rick from Florida came in and bought the blue custom shop,
yeah.
he picked up that 8. Good player. Bought that whatever
The Maple that had the blue tint on the back,
Yeah.
the blue stain.
Oh, with the
Cool.
purple over
Yeah,
purple
yeah,
over
yeah,
teal.
yeah,
Yeah.
On a walk-in.
That was a
and
really
that
cool guitar too.
We were closing the deal up, and he was like, "I just want to grab this guitar with such a big body."
Yeah.
So shocked at how great that thing
Yeah.
sounded. It was articulate,
Mhm.
had nice top end, had nice lows.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that to me was like the Taylor sound in a sense too.
Yeah.
In that big body.
Full spectrum, encompassing everything you
Amazing
need.
guitars out there. The 618s, like you get a chance.
Yeah.
Put your
Play
hands
one
on
of
it.
those. They're absolutely crushing guitars.
Speaking of opinions, I'm going to say this. The 618E is, I think, the best sounding guitar we make right now.
Well, there you have
Like
it.
that
There you
guitar,
go.
like, and I'm
There you
not
go.
In
ashamed to
stock
say
at
that.
Empire Music.
That's right.
Are they? Before I say that.
They are. Yeah, we
Yeah,
got
they
it.
are.
We just,
Oh, no,
we just
they're
got it.
definitely,
We just got it. Yeah, we just got it.
So that'll actually. So that answers a little bit
Yeah.
of that.
And wait, there was a question about my espresso intake on
Oh,
the.
yeah,
what we got
yeah,
in.
Joe.
we need to
So that's right.
address
So
this.
Joe.
So to be clear, here's how my day goes. 5 o'clock, my alarm goes off.
I like how
right?
you really want to answer this question. This is
I
great.
get into emails about 5:30, 6 o'clock, first espresso shot at home. My wife comes downstairs, second espresso shot. That's how my day goes. Then I come here, double shot of espresso and a large iced tea. Then what we got in. That's it. So that explains the energy.
If we get to what we got in on time,
Yeah.
which does not always happen
Rarely.
with the schedule here at Empire Music. Generally speaking, on a Thursday night, I'll have it all set up. Brent and I will be ready to go. We'll see when this guy can actually get around to
Yeah,
it. If you've talked to Joe, you know he's always flying around the shop. So the espresso is much needed for him. But the last question kind of ties up, circle sort of back with this question. The typical narrative that I hear from other guitar players is that Taylor guitars play better, but Martin guitars have better electronics, which that's very debatable. What would your response be in the description of those two premier guitar brands? Obviously, Mike is biased, but Mike's also a very astute. Like you're a guitar enthusiast, also.
Yeah.
So
I
you're
am.
very
I'm a
aware
collector,
of what's going on there.
And again, it's a weird, not questioning the questioner, but it's a weird saying like, well, Taylor's play better, but Martins have better electronics. That's not really the comparison I'm used to
Yeah,
hearing.
right.
Yeah.
No, right. 'Cause if you
You
walk in
know?
that room, there's probably one guitar with electronics.
Yeah.
Where here, there's one guitar without
Yeah.
electronics in it.
You know,
But just to address that before
Yeah.
we get there, I will say this much. We make our own electronics at Taylor.
Mhm.
We're in control of that, for the most part, for the ES2
Yeah.
system. That's all our doing. It is our system. We believe in it. We like the way it sounds. Does everybody like the way it sounds? No. That's okay, because I have Les Pauls. I love playing my Les Pauls. Do I like the pickups in every Les Paul I own? No. Have I changed them? Yes. Is that okay? Yes. Can you order a Taylor without electronics and put in a system you like better? Yes. We will make almost any guitar we make without electronics if that's what you feel you need to get a better sound plugged in.
yeah.
More importantly, you should have a great acoustic sound to begin with. It doesn't matter what electronics are in there if you don't like the acoustic sound of the instrument.
Right.
So if you take anything away from that question, it would be that. Now, to the best of my knowledge, Martin doesn't make their own
They
electronics.
don't. Yeah.
So it's Fishman and
LR bags.
LR
Yeah.
bags
and LR
become the
bags.
real
Yeah, so
preeminent
there's a couple of
one
different
there.
things. Yeah. So there's something to be said for those companies too. They make fine acoustic
Yeah.
amplification pickups. They do. Absolutely. 100%. If you want to get like an 814C with no electronics because you want to put in an LR bags or a rare earth Fishman
Yeah.
or whatever, go ahead.
Have
Have
at
at
it.
it. Have at it. Absolutely. But that's subjective.
Yeah,
So-
I will say, it's interesting. I was watching, I don't know if a YouTube video or if it was a Facebook ad that popped up because Bags came out with a new system that gives you all these digital images of acoustic guitar images that you can control from your phone for your acoustic electric guitar. And it hit me in that moment. Something that is, I think, about Taylor guitars is that they're very transparent plugged in.
Mhm.
And something that I think you'll find with the typical undersaddle pickup is that people come into the store or they'll call us and they'll call us day after day after day for months trying to find the right acoustic guitar, right? They play for an hour and a half back here. And then when you go to plug them in, if they all sound the same plugged in because the electronics are creating a different tone, then you kind of went through the wrong process to, you know what I mean? It's just like, I think that's something that is good about the Taylor guitar system is that it has a very true to the acoustic tone of the guitar plugged in. I think what happened was you listened to the 70s, the 80s, and 90s with all undersaddle Fishman pickups, and they all sound a certain way. They just do, and people's brains are programmed to them. But I think if you really came in and plugged into a powered speaker, like we have a cheap $300-400 Fender Fighter 12 powered speaker back there, and you plugged in Taylor guitars back there, and then turn your volume up and play them acoustically, I think they do an incredible job of transmitting the acoustic characteristics of the guitar through that powered speaker. I think they do a really good job. So, people tell us all the time, what's the best this? Like, if there was one best, there'd only be one option. We wouldn't carry a room full of guitars if there's only one good sounding one for finger picking or one good one for strumming. If you want to play, heavy metal on a ukulele, get loose, do it. And if you're great at it, that's what makes people creative. It's really cool. But don't get trapped into this is why forums are the end all be all of life, because everyone's got like these strong opinions, right? There's one person that can tell you what tastes good or what sounds good for you, right?
Yeah.
You. So put your hands on it, play it, and see. But I think you'd be surprised. And also, if you go onto YouTube, there are some great videos on how the Taylor expression system works and stuff like that are cool. And I think, Taylor, you might have them on your site too.
Yeah, we do.
so
Absolutely.
Cool stuff.
I think it's a great electronic system.
Yeah.
to tell you the truth. I
And
think
it's
it holds
simple.
its own
If you have to have like 700 knobs, obviously I always get stressed out by that bass, treble, volume, have at it.
and visually too, nothing.
Sexy.
You got the three knobs up there. There's nothing you're looking. Not that would ever bother me, but some people like the cleanliness of that.
And the last point on that is a lot of people, and when I say a lot of people, I'm not trying to be critical of any one person. It's just that a lot of people want simplicity.
Yeah.
I want to plug it in. I want it to sound great, and they may plug it in. It doesn't sound great right away. That's okay. That's why there's knobs. You don't want several of them. We give you two.
Yeah.
You have treble and bass. Work it out. Play around with it.
And I always say too, we always say this with electric guitars, and I'm not saying this is the case with any particular one person. Like you just said, what's your amp? Because that goes a long. Like we always say this. Would you rather play a Squire through a twin reverb, or would you play a custom shop through whatever?
Champ 20.
You're right, exactly. not to dump on
Gorilla.
Champ 20s, but the front man or something.
You're
like that.
only good as your worst
Yeah,
component.
whistling
which,
gain,
yeah, it's like that's definitely the case.
yeah, exactly.
Some-
and an amp is so important. So
Yeah.
like a really good amp is going to help that out a ton.
Yeah, 100%.
One more. It's a quick question, and you can answer this, Mike. Why do certain models get pickguard and others don't? And why don't tailors make dreadnought guitars anymore, which is not necessarily the case?
All right, so let's go with the second one first.
Right.
We showed the Grand Pacific earlier, and the Grand Pacific is our quote unquote dreadnought style guitar. It's
This
a round
person
shoulder
mentioned like the
dreadnought.
610, like the traditional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're looking for a square shoulder dreadnought, we'd made those guitars for years, and we don't want to chase other companies. We want to do something that was uniquely us, and we feel that this design is a
Fantastic.
better tailored design.
Oh, yeah.
It's not saying that the other guitars we still make a 110E, we still make a
Yeah.
210E, a 210CE. We still have those dreadnought guitars, but for our USA models, the Grand Pacific would be filling that gap because we feel that fills that tonal space better and is a better representation of who we are and what we do as a company.
Yeah.
So but is there anything wrong with those? Nope, absolutely not.
Pick guards. Why
pick
not?
guards.
Why and why not?
Looks.
Yeah.
Really, looks. There's something to the thing of, and Bob Taylor will tell you this, and Andy Powers will tell you this, and I will tell you this. Anything you add or remove to a guitar is going to alter its tone, either to a large percentage or a small percentage. So if you put a pick guard on the top of a guitar, it will alter the tone a little bit. Will you hear it? Most likely not. So I look at it as more aesthetics than anything else.
Yeah, so do I.
I will just say this. If you are a heavy strummer and you're using like a silver dollar as your pick, you better put a pick guard on that guitar. If you like the look of a pick guard, put a pick guard on the guitar. If you don't, bring it here. They'll take it off. You can order a Taylor guitar with a USA made guitar, USA made Taylor. You can order it with or without a pick guard. It's no additional charge either way.
But it really comes down to looks. For
It really
me.
does. Yeah.
Which makes sense. I mean, I got back. There's like, I hate it on this one. I love it on this one. It's just,
Yeah,
you just never know
exactly.
what
And
you're
you know what?
looking
If you ask the next guy or the next gal, they would say probably the
Yeah,
complete opposite.
exactly. So the last question we had was, and I can feel this one, Vince, is a very simple answer. The GS Mini bass, is that a good bass for the GS Mini owner transitioning to bass? Think about that. Yes.
Great. So we're done.
All right,
Okay.
so on to the
meeting.
questions that are going. No, honestly, I love my GS Mini bass. We sell a lot of them, especially if you're already a GS Mini player, size-wise, you know what that feels like. It transitions right over to a bass.
I record with the GS Mini bass.
I've done it too.
It's amazing.
Sounds great.
It sounds great.
Yeah, you can, and I've done some really weird effects with it because the feedback you can get from it can kind of be a cool thing to work with. So great travel bass, beginner bass, transitional bass, or if you just want to kind of emulate an upright tone too.
Yeah.
Which doesn't sound like that's what this guy's doing or girl's doing, but they're really cool. So yeah,
it does sound like a fretless bass. It sounds like a fretless bass with Bartolini.
It can sound
That's what it
fretless
sounds like.
and it can sound upright.
Yeah.
So it depending on how you mic it or if you go direct with it, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
They're really, really versatile.
They're
Great
very cool.
playing, and they're loud for their size.
Yes.
I think they're as loud as like the big, bulky, full size
Yeah.
Fender or Alvarez things that you see out there.
Sure.
And the tension's so nice on them.
Air Slinky.
So yes, obviously a
All
great
right,
bass.
chat questions, rapid fire.
Yeah, let's
Anthony,
go.
here we go. What's the
Me?
story with the custom Empire bass and bass pickups? Our Fender exclusive
Oh.
custom shop bass that we have coming.
So, well, you can answer this too. So it's designed. I selected the pickups. Aaron and Todd helped me out with that immensely. And I did it as like a blind litmus test. I did not know what pickup I was playing. And I picked one out that, and then I realized what the specs were, and they're amazing. When?
September, October.
October,
Yeah, October
they
launch.
should be here. NOS, Journeyman, and some Heavy Relic. Maybe 12 at
I think
first.
12 out of the gate.
And we're going
30
total
for
of
the
like
year.
30 or something like that coming in. They're going to be great. So I don't want to get too far into details, but I think it's going to be the perfect players P bass between. It's not going to be a modern P bass. It's going to be a vintage style P bass. I think playability and sound, but it's going to be a blend between early 60s and late 50s. And you know me, I own a 58 custom shop bass. It's going to be a little similar to that, but with a few little twists on this. That's what's up with that. I cannot wait to get my hands on one of those. And I'm going to buy one. Of course.
Mike, why doesn't Taylor make a long scale acoustic bass? From
Well,
Australia?
well, Anthony.
From Austria, not Australia.
I think I just answered that.
We did.
Yeah,
we did. We made the AB series,
the
which is
AB
acoustic
ones,
bass,
yeah.
AB1 through AB4, and we did that around 2001 to 2004. And we did it based on demand, and everybody wanted it. And then
34 scale, like regular scale length.
it was immense.
They were massive.
Yeah.
And they had like a big sound hole up in the corner.
Yeah.
They
Oh,
were
man.
huge.
And they weren't even our full design. They were actually designed between Bob Taylor and Steve Klein. So, and if you ever seen Steve Klein designs, they're like wacky, sort of like Steinberger style kind of designs. So, and the case, you could fit 3 babies in it, like not baby Taylors, like babies. And
Children.
yeah, and like tote them with you.
Which isn't weird at all.
Not at all. Don't even ask why I came up with that.
We tried to
analogy,
fit 4, but that 4th one wouldn't go in.
5299 Empire Music, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
But anyway, we did make those. We made them in 4 different types, which was 4 different woods. And everybody that wanted them bought them, and then we didn't sell anymore.
Yeah.
So we said, all right, guess what? We're not going to make these anymore. Now they're collector's items, and they sell for far more than when they were new. Oh, yeah. You'll find them on eBay once in a while, but the shipping charges on them are like $200 because they are huge.
And the GS Mini is so good. Just to go back to that, the GS Mini bass is so good. There's no need. There really is not a need for that.
Now, will there be one in the future? I'll never say never. Look, it's very possible that we will. But is it today? No. Is it tomorrow? No. Is it next week? Not so much. Right. It might be in the future.
From Thomas Moore, I'm not sure I understand the first part of the question. What is the difference between the American Dream and the GTE Urban Ash? I don't quite follow it, but he has.
I get it.
What? Oh, you do? And then he wants to know, what is Urban Ash?
So, all right. Difference between the American Dream Urban Ash, American Dream guitars, American Dream guitars and GTE Urban Ash. American Dream guitars are oven coal. Except for the AD27, which is Sapelli sides and back. So the AD17, the AD17 Blacktop are both oven coal sides and back instruments with spruce tops.
And they're Grand Pacific body shapes.
And they're Grand Pacific body shapes. GT is going to signify the body shape to begin with. The AD is a GP shape. It's a Grand Pacific shape. The GTE Urban Ash is a completely different shape using Urban Ash as the sides and back of the instrument. Now, what is Urban Ash? Urban ash is wood from trees that have reached their end of life cycle around Southern California. And you'll find them in either parks or highways, things like that.
Retirement communities for trees.
Yes. Well, no, we put it in a retirement. They put it in a retirement community for trees. So there's one company called West Coast Arborists that knows where all of these trees are. They've geotagged every one of them. And when they're reaching end of life cycle, or if they're naturally fell or what have you, they go and they take those trees, remove those trees, bring it to West Coast Arborists, and then they mill them. And a lot of times they would be turned into mulch. But that's sort of like a waste for a wood that actually acts very, very good. It behaves, Andy Powers will tell you, it behaves very much like mahogany in a lot of ways. It dries like mahogany, it cuts like mahogany. From a tonal standpoint, it vibrates like mahogany. So we felt that this was, and their guitars made with ash for years and years and years. I mean, how many Fender Strats do you sell that have ash bodies, So ash is a great tone wood. It is a great tone wood, and being able to find a way to use it for our acoustic guitars means a lot for us, not just from a manufacturing standpoint where there's a sustainable wood, because that is who Taylor is at our core. We're big on that. But at the same time, we're not decimating another, species of tree from a third world country. We sort of have the control over it. Yeah. The only other woods that we have any control over whatsoever as manufacturers in guitar is like maple and spruce. So this is a third. So that gives us a leg up in that way.
And not at all like they sound great. So
they sound great.
Like you're just like, we'll throw whatever we can for sustainability's sake. That's a big bonus on there.
Yes.
They're great sounding guitars.
Yeah, it starts with the sound. Like if it didn't sound good, we wouldn't pursue anything else.
Right.
We actually tried 3 or 4 different species of trees, like different types of trees that West Coast Arborists had. And then as we went down, we're like, all right, this sounds great. These don't sound good. Now, they may have been sustainable, but it doesn't matter if it doesn't sound good.
Sure. Yeah. You're selling guitars.
And then last one, why is Empire Music the coolest Taylor dealer and all the other stores are super lame? This is from Joe's mom.
Really okay, so Ms. Revita, nice to talk to you.
Bold she is.
Well, you know what? Remember that whole word subjective? I'm going to bring that one back.
That's an opinion.
Yeah.
Well, this is it. Anthony, wrap us up.
Well, guys, it's 6 o'clock.
Look at that, 5:59. We only have a minute because Anthony's sheet explodes right then. 6 o'clock it goes. It's to the end.
Was that 3D? Do we wear glasses for that part of the show?
I wish. Well, Mike, thanks for coming in,
Mike,
man. And
appreciate you coming in.
Cheers for Mike Venezia. Works really hard for us. Taylor Guitars, Summer NAMM sales going on tomorrow in store all day long. 11 or 10.
Yeah,
geez,
10.
10 to 5. 15% off everything from the Taylor Summer NAMM booth. We bought all of those guitars. They're going to be here in the store. Come in, check them out. If you're online, it'll be on the webpage. There's links in the description.
Sale
Call us,
prices are
41
posted.
Yep, sale prices are on there. 412-343-5299. You can get event-only pricing. Well, not really event-only pricing, but you can get that pricing over the phone as well tomorrow or whatever's left over in the coming weeks. That's about it. Free factory setup on all this stuff, free shipping, the whole nine. Thank you for joining us for our 6th happy hour hang. Once again, thank you to Mike Venezia. Thank you to Taylor Guitars. And thank you to all of you great customers out there for helping support Empire Music throughout the last few years on our YouTube channel. If you're on there, which you are if you're watching this, please hit subscribe, and we will see you next time. Thank you much.
Thanks a lot.